Tonight, it's not just Sydney on edge, but the entire country. The Northern Beaches cluster has grown by 10 infections to 28 overnight. And there are alerts for venues across the city as far as the Central Coast, Cronulla, the North Shore, eastern suburbs and inner west. Health authorities are racing to slow the spread of the virus and they're pleading with Sydneysiders to take it seriously. If that fails, Gladys Berejiklian is warning that restrictions could be back within days. Thousands of people have had their Christmas holiday plans ruined because other states are tightening border restrictions to protect themselves. We have reporters across Sydney tonight, but first let's go to Ursula Malone at the Avalon Bowling Club. Ursula.
Well, as you mentioned, Jeremy, 10 new cases were announced this morning. That brought the total in this cluster to 28. But we are hearing tonight of a rising number of new cases, and there's real concern that this cluster has spread far beyond the Northern Beaches. In fact, we've just had confirmation of a case on the Central Coast, and that case has been linked to this cluster here on the Northern Beaches. So earlier this evening, the health authorities have issued an urgent call for people to come forward for testing, and a statewide call for people to come forward for testing, even if they have the mildest symptoms. And this afternoon, there was a health advisory, a strong health advisory for people here on the Northern Beaches to wear a mask at all time in indoor venues, such as at supermarkets or on trains and buses. Panic buying is back. People are stocking up and preparing for the worst.
If they do lock it down, it will be a bit devoed for the kids.
Authorities are appealing for residents on the Northern Beaches to stay at home this weekend to slow the spread of the virus. Manly's famous Corso was deserted. Along the beaches, the red and yellow flags have been lowered. The lifeguards sent home for their own safety.
I think there's a mixture of feelings. It's like, oh, why us? And they're annoyed. People in the sort of Avalon, Palm Beach area are a little bit nervous and a bit anxious.
Thousands of residents have been asked to get tested, regardless of whether they have symptoms or have visited affected venues.
My husband waited 4 hours yesterday at Monavale Hospital. I waited 2 hours here last night and then gave up.
So far, contact tracing has not turned up the answers authorities had hoped for.
My anxiety is that we haven't found the direct transmission route and can't be ensured that we've blocked every transmission line.
Genome testing has shown the strain has come from the United States. Health officials say it's similar to that seen in a traveller who arrived from the US on December the 1st. The spotlight has also turned to airline crews and even visitors with special exemptions.
There has been speculation that this latest outbreak has been sparked by a celebrity brought in for a film shoot. Is there any truth to that speculation that you're aware of?
Look, I apologise, I don't have any information on that.
What now has authorities concerned is the discovery that infected cases visited venues 70 kilometres south in Cronulla and 90 kilometres west in Penrith.
It does mean there's potential seeding outside of Avalon and outside of the Northern Beaches.
That sparked fears that in the lead up to Christmas, Sydney could be sliding towards a Melbourne-style lockdown.
If we get on top of this in the next 2 or 3 days, all of us will be able to have a much better Christmas. But if we don't get on top of it in the next few days, it could mean further restrictions down the track.
Residents right across Sydney are being urged to take extra precautions or see Christmas plans turned into disarray. Ursula Malone, ABC News, Sydney.
And Rani, Hayman's outside one of the many testing clinics in Avalon where there have been, again, some long lines, long waits. Rani, how's it looking there tonight?
That's right, Jeremy. So I'm here at the Avalon Recreation Centre, where, as you can see behind me, there is quite a long line. And as would be expected, the mood is quite bleak. People here have shared feelings of frustration, disappointment, anger and sadness at cancelled Christmas plans in the week to come. I spoke to one woman who said she was meant to fly to Melbourne to see family there, but 2 of her children are now in isolation, so those plans are no longer happening. And that was really a recurring theme here as I spoke to people But what we do know is that these people here have said that this is the only thing that they can do to take any kind of control of what's going on in Sydney at the moment. Coming and getting tested is the right thing to do, and that's what they're here to do.
Rani, Hayman in Avalon. Well, there are dozens of venues caught up in this Northern Beaches cluster, and that list is growing and extending across the metro area. Tonight, there are fresh warnings issued for cafes, restaurants, change rooms, RSL clubs, shops and supermarkets where the virus has been circulating during the past week. Some of the latest additions are Woolworths in Avalon and Mona Vale, Aldi in Mona Vale, the Commonwealth Bank at Avalon Beach, plus the local Avalon Beach Surf Lifesaving Club, Post Office and the Palm Beach Pool and Rock Pool. There's also a growing list of places of concern across the metro area, including Westfield at Bondi Junction for anyone who was there on Tuesday this week. You'll find the full list and definitive advice on the New South Wales Health website with the dates and times of concern. Well, while New South Wales is confident it can contain the outbreak, some states aren't taking any chances. Travellers desperate to reconnect with family and friends are navigating a myriad of border restrictions. Many have brought their flights forward in the hope they won't be forced to spend Christmas in quarantine.
After 9 months of near-empty airports, today, anything but.
As soon as you walk in, you do feel a bit of anxiety.
A feeling shared by many fearing snap border closures.
We were supposed to be flying to Tasmania next Sunday, but we were worried that we wouldn't be able to get there, so we just brought it forward and got the first thing we could.
Oh, my mum's going to my sister's for Christmas. She was supposed to fly out at 11 tomorrow, so we had to pay an exorbitant amount of money to get a flight today.
These Victorians have just landed. They're now considering a 180.
We can't really afford 2-week hotel quarantine, or we still don't know. That's the thing, we don't know what's going to happen.
We were planning to head to Mackay in North Queensland on Christmas Eve.
Kelly Borg hasn't seen her mum in 2 years. She'll have to wait even longer.
We were really excited about going for Christmas, and she was pretty excited. So it's pretty sad news to wake up to this morning.
As the cluster grows, so too anxiety interstate.
We want to keep our Queenslanders safe.
Victorians have worked really hard.
We must do whatever is required to keep us safe.
Victoria's introducing a traffic light system. Upon entry, people from regional New South Wales will be told to monitor for symptoms. All Sydneysiders must be tested and isolate until they get their results. But those who've been on the northern beaches won't be allowed in at all. They're also banned from travelling to the Apple Isle. Queensland, South Australia and the Northern Territory will force people who've been in the hotspot to quarantine in a hotel for 2 weeks. Western Australia is making everyone from every part of New South Wales self-isolate at home for a fortnight, while the nation's capital is only asking those who've been on the northern beaches to do the same.
I'm going. If I get on that plane and they say it's not happening, I just want to come back. I don't want to be stuck there for 2 weeks in quarantine.
As if travelling wasn't stressful enough. Tim Swanston, ABC News, Sydney.
And Tim Swanston is at Sydney Airport for us tonight. Tim, it's been one of the busiest days of the year.
Jeremy, the last Friday before Christmas was always going to be busy, but we know that since the border announcements last night and this morning that flights with cheap airfares out of New South Wales sold out very quickly. Qantas today said that it experienced a very high volume of requests from travellers in Sydney who are looking to change their travel plans. Now, on the borders, states and territories will be applying a very serious amount of scrutiny to the New South Wales health response. They've also flagged that they could enforce stricter border measures should that Northern Beaches cluster expand geographically or grow in size.
Tim Swanston at Sydney Airport.